Welcome to Caregiving Club On Air. This podcast is dedicated to the millions of family caregivers who want wellness tips and self-care solutions, who seek expert advice, and who want news about healthy aging and how to create well home design in our forever homes. I'm Sherri Snelling, a corporate gerontologist, author, and educator, a TV interviewer, host, and news commentator. I'm joining you from Southern California, where our interviews and news take us all across the country to explore the many ways to help you on your caregiving journey and to lift you up here at Caregiving Club On Air. So I'm really thrilled to have my guest on today, who is Saudia Gajadhar. And we have worked together. She is from Comfort Keepers, and I have done some work for Comfort Keepers. And so I'm really thrilled to have her on today to tell us not just about the great work that Comfort Keepers is doing, but also a special event that Comfort Keepers has created in June that she's going to share more with us. And Saudia, welcome to Caregiving Club On Air.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you, Sherri.
Well, I have to tell you, so when we were putting together the notes for this episode, and I saw that you have a new job title called Chief Happiness Officer, and I went, that is the best job title I've ever heard. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It just makes me so happy to be able to even say that, Chief Happiness Officer. I mean, having somebody around that's dedicated to joy, I mean, what could be better?
Going to say, what a great job. There can't be
Yeah.
anything better.
Yeah.
So, Saudia, you have been working with Comfort Keepers now for a few years, and I know Comfort Keepers is celebrating their 25th anniversary this year, which is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about what Comfort Keepers does before we dive into some of the news that you have. But I think some of the services that you deliver are so important, particularly for our listeners, because, as we know, family caregivers often need help, but they just don't know where to turn. And Comfort Keepers is going to be a great source for them. So tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, we have been delivering uplifting in home care for seniors and other adults for 25 years. We're so proud of our 25 years of caring and our legacy. And the reason we say uplifting senior care, Sherri, is because to us, providing care to seniors, it's about way more than just care. It's about positivity, optimism, and the positive impact that can have on somebody's life. We think it's kind of what makes us different. But because there's so many things about life that we are all the same. It doesn't matter how old we are. Everybody that's listening in or watching us, doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We probably all want the same things, which is love, purpose, connection, hope, positivity, meaning. And that doesn't all of a sudden change when you become, let's say, 70 or 80, right? You don't all of a sudden say, you know what? I don't want that anymore. I just want to be kept safe and secure in my home, not break a hip, be independent. Of course, right? But
Right.
we, as adult children, or let's say care providers, we think of those things for our senior loved ones and think, what can I do to keep them safe? I got to solve this problem. And then all of a sudden, that senior becomes a problem that needs to be solved
Right.
instead of a person that experiences all those things. So it's
Yeah.
just important for us to remember that senior is this whole person with all these things that they can experience, and that is our job at Comfort Keepers to deliver that. We have a lot of services that we provide to do that, and that's everything from simple companionship, nutrition, medication reminders, personal care, mobility assistance, really all those activities of daily living that help the senior really stay in their own home.
Well, and you hit on so many important points, I think, Sadia, because, as you said, we know that our older population wants to stay living in their homes as long as possible, and sometimes they need a little extra help. And as family caregivers, we may be a little overwhelmed with all these responsibilities. So, kind of having this trusted, service where you can call Comfort Keepers and
Mhm.
they can come in and help out with things. The other thing I thought that you hit on, which is really important, is this whole thought of we focus so much on the health of our older loved ones. We don't think about the things like the joy and the
Mhm.
happiness and, are they learning new things and all of that. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that you said. Comfort Keeper certainly is really focused on that more holistic look at life. And we all want happiness. I love this quote from John Glenn when he went back into space for the second time. And the reporter said to him, how does it feel to be, 70, I think he was 77 years old and going back into space? And he says, hey, old people have dreams too. So I think it's a great reminder that, we never stop kind of seeking some of those things. And maybe we just need a little bit of help to get there. So tell me about this National Day of Joy. I know you've been doing it for a few years. I know it happens. I think, is it always the third Wednesday of June? And I think it's June 28th this year. Is that correct?
It is the last Wednesday in June every single year. It is our 5th year of celebrating the National Day of Joy. And to us, our brand promise is actually elevating the human spirit. And so for us, we actually created this National Day 5 years ago in celebration of that, because to us, elevating the human spirit, it's a big part of it is joy and delivering these daily doses of joy. And remembering that is so important. So we created sort of a national holiday. We registered it with the National Day Archives so that we wanted to remind every single person that it's so important to just take a moment to stop and experience joy or deliver that to others. And, I wanted to say it is so important for us to deliver that for our caregivers too. They are such an
Mm.
important part of our National Day of Joy. And we couldn't do the things that we're doing if it weren't for those caregivers. I mean, we think it's just as important to deliver joy to them as it is to anybody. You know what? And the part of the thing about that is that we were actually just certified as a great place to work, which I was so
Congratulations.
excited about. Yeah, because it just shows what we're doing for our caregivers and how they're so an important part of this whole concept of joy. 90% of them said that they felt that they actually make a difference and that their job brings them meaning. So anyway, for those people that think they have that caring, empathetic soul and like to deliver those daily doses of joy, I just wanted to say, we're always looking for those people. So please go to comfortkeepers.jobs to learn more. And they are so much a part of our National Day of Joy. This year, our theme is Live the Joy.
Okay.
So when you
I
talk about
love
Live
that.
the Joy, it's really telling people that they need to embrace those little moments
Hmm.
that will make a difference, that they can stop. Sort of, I guess that whole smell the roses idea. Um,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and I think as we kind of came through all the challenges of the pandemic and all that, I think people are ready to celebrate again, and kind of find those sparks of joy out there. One of the things that really struck me as I was looking through some of your materials and the things that you do, I think there were some photos that have been done from past years. And it is showing kind of those fun moments. There was something where there were a couple of older women, I think, in the back seat of a convertible, and they had feather boas on. So tell us a little bit about what are some of the activities that you've seen that happen around the National Day of Joy?
So we have locations across the country with Comfort Keepers, and everybody is celebrating in some way. We want people to, whether you're in the community, a caregiver, a friend, a family member, a client, everybody needs to celebrate. All our office doing it, and there's so many awesome local happenings. So one of the things that I'm attending is a luau. So it's a senior luau at a senior center, and I just can't wait to go and see how people are dressed, the music, what they're going to do, pineapple, all of that. It's just so fun to see people out there having fun, especially our seniors. We have some offices that are just taking ice cream trucks to senior centers. I can't wait to see people like wait in line. I'm going to get sprinkles on mine or whatever it is, all those fun things. And, talking about that car thing, we have a few offices that are doing a classic car show. And
Ah, I love
they
it.
partnered, yeah, they partnered with these classic car clubs, I guess, that are out there. And they are taking seniors on joy rides, like through Main Street, like these little mini parades. I think we have a few offices doing that. So
I
everybody's just
love
getting,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're just getting creative and doing fun things from carnivals and, celebrating at wineries. Actually, I wouldn't mind going to that one. And just doing anything they can to embrace the fun, kind of showcase it and tell others to do things in big or small ways.
Well, and what's so great about that, like you just said, it kind of sparks that creativity, right? I mean, we really have to put our efforts now into looking for something that's really fun and brings all of that joy, rather than focusing on things that we're so concerned about, like our health.
Mm,
It
yeah.
takes you out of that moment of feeling like things might not be right or perfect and gives you something to look forward to, which again is so great with our older population because so many of us have things in life, whether it's school things that we're doing, work things that we're doing. So there's little moments we look forward to in some of those roles we play. for older adults who may not be at work or, have those kind of activities that are already structured, these kinds of things are so important. I know they really, really look forward to these things. So you also, in conjunction, I know, with the National Day of Joy, you do a survey. And I was reading some of the results, and I want to have you share with the audience what are the things that you felt were either surprising or interesting. I thought there were some things that were really great, but I'm going to toss it to you and have you tell us what were the highlights.
Oh, yeah. So, as part of the National Day of Joy, we do a survey with seniors. This year, we surveyed about 2,000 seniors age 65 and older to find out what brings them joy. Some of the things were surprising, some of the things not quite so much. So, the top three things that bring seniors joy: family and friends, not so surprising. But the third one is good weather, which I kind of loved hearing that. We definitely need more sunshine. I'm in Southern California right now, and we're in the middle of June gloom, and I would really appreciate a little more sunshine. So I get that. Maybe that's
Right.
why Florida has such a high index of seniors.
That's
Um,
true.
and you think about seniors, they have such wisdom, right? They've been out for so long. So I guess it makes sense that about a quarter of them feel that the life advice that they give could go viral,
Wow.
which I think
Yeah.
is fun that they're even thinking about the word viral and that their life advice.
Yeah,
They would say things like,
exactly.
yeah, like be true to yourself is an example of one of their pieces of advice.
Right.
I think for me, almost one of the most poignant ones is that three-quarters of them feel that it's never too late to find true love. Isn't that great?
I love that one.
I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
thought that was great. And they're using dating apps
I
even,
know
right?
37% of them say that they're actually admitted to using a dating app. I'm like, you go. I thought that was great.
Yeah, so that myth that older people don't use technology, I think that's done, right? That's
Yeah,
debunked at this point.
exactly. Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, the majority of them are using social media. They care about fashion. I thought that was interesting, but they really like the idea of retro fashion, and they would like to go back and see 70s fashion make a comeback. I mean, so would I, to be honest. I think that sounds
Right?
awesome.
The disco
And you know
days,
what?
right?
Yeah, yeah, they're actually rockers. So three of the bands that they really appreciate the most are the Beatles, the Beach Boys, and the Rolling Stones, which is one of my favorites. So I love to hear
Uh,
that.
well, this is very prescient then because this podcast is gonna drop in June, and I think June is National Music Month, so that's
Oh,
perfect. We'll have
perfect.
to promote
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I think
That's great.
the last thing is that I thought was really interesting is that the majority of them said that they would like to go back in time. But the reasons that they said they would go back in time, like to go, it were interesting. One of them is to relive great moments, which makes sense. One of
Mhm.
them was to make better choices, which I guess I
Yes.
could see the benefit of that. And the third one is to just spend more time with their loved ones. And that's just a reminder to us how important it is to do that, especially
Yeah.
with our seniors who the research shows, as said, that family is the most important thing to them. So just keeping seniors in our minds and remember that they might, to your point, have some limitations and not being able to experience things or celebrate the way that they normally would have, but to still let them do it in their way, involve them, whether virtually on, calling them and just having them participate in their own ways is so important to keep that senior feeling good.
Well, and it's so I think it's really important for the audience also to understand. I mean, for those of us who may live close to our older loved ones, we have it a little bit easier because we can visit, very often. But we have a
Mhm.
lot of families that live across the country from each other, or at least, a few hours away. And, the social aspect of health now is getting so much more attention. We realize that the quality relationships we have are going to help us live more happily and longer. And I think one of the things that people forget is that even if you live far away from your loved one, what can you do to help facilitate some of these relationships? And I think, again, that's kind of where Comfort Keepers comes in. Having someone that you know is going to come in and maybe help you make a meal or,
Mhm.
like you said, just be a companion is really going to help their overall health. And it doesn't have to be about, okay, mom, you're no longer able to do this. It's more about the companionship, right?
That's right. I mean, we do so much research that talks about this is why we focus on positivity, purpose, and joy. It's not just happiness is great, but it's because there's actually, I mean, there's a physical aspect to it.
Yeah.
Those that are more well socialized and experience more joy, there's a physical aspect where they're more likely to thrive physically, mentally, and experience overall well being. There's actually a link between falls and depression. So if you can think about that, at the beginning, I was talking about how you don't want somebody to fall and break a hip or have these injuries, but the better they're feeling, the less likely they're going to be depressed, the better they're going to thrive physically. So there's this beautiful circle that starts with this whole concept of joy and what it can actually do to you.
Yeah.
So for me, that's actually very personal because I'm the adult daughter of aging parents. My dad's 88, my mom is going to be 80 in September, and
Mhm.
my family heritage is Indian. And my mother, my mother, first of all, she's amazing, but she's had 3 knee replacements, if you can count that and really think about that. And
Wow.
she actually needs another one. So,
Right.
but that's okay. She gets around, right? But then
Right.
obviously she experiences pain, but she always wants to make me my childhood favorite dish, which is shrimp curry. She
Yeah.
wants to make it for me. She doesn't want me to do anything. She doesn't want me to help her. She doesn't want me to clean up. And for so many years, there was this battle. I'm like, Mom, I know that causes you pain. Let me help you. Don't do it. Let's go out. Let me cook. And she just would get upset. And I finally realized, partly through the work that we're doing here and this whole concept of joy and the National Day of Joy and helping seniors live their purpose, that
Mhm.
was the most important thing that I could do for her, was to let her be a mother and let me be the daughter and let her do for me. And that was the thing that brings her joy, lets her live her purpose. And ever since I realized that, it's been beautiful. She does it. I sit down, she does it all. And that's what brings her joy. And it's just
I
important to remember that we can do those things for our
Yeah.
senior loved ones.
And I love that. I think that's a real gift, and we often over as you said, we overlook it because all of a sudden we think, "Oh, I've gotta help my mom," you know? And instead, the way you're helping her is by allowing her to, like you said, be that mom, do the things she's always loved to do for
Mhm,
you.
mhm.
You and I are similar. I have a mom who's gonna be 80 soon too. I hope she's okay that I say that, but anyway, I know she
Oh, yeah, I
listens to the
didn't ask my
podcast.
mom.
But, we lost my stepdad a few years ago, so she's been one of these group that we call the solo agers, and she's doing great. She's always been really engaged and has, her friendships, but as you get older, you start to lose those friendships. And so again, I think having other sources of relationships that you have that you can count on, and, whether it's family or whether it's, somebody that just comes into the home, to kind of help you out here and there, I think is really so wonderful. I'm just going to look at my notes to see if we missed anything else. We've talked a lot about this whole social aspect of health, which is so important. Is there anything else, Sadia, that you feel you've seen in the work that you're doing and Comfort Keepers is doing that's really important for family caregivers out there listening to know about? Whether it's about your service or just overall with their older loved one, what they should be thinking about.
Well, and like I mentioned, just include them. And I think that one of the things that we found to be so important over time is focus on possibilities instead of limitations. So
Mhm.
that means focusing on the things that your senior loved one can do versus the things that they can't do. Really understand the things that bring them joy, whether those little tiny things, they don't have to be big things, and help deliver it to them. And to, whether those things can be doing things to the ability of the senior. So some of the things we tell our caregivers, for example, somebody likes to garden. So they can't get out in their garden. They can't get on their knees. But what can they do? They can garden in a pot. They
Mhm.
can grow herbs, and you can help them with some of those things. That's just one little example, but it's a matter of figuring out how to deliver that joy that senior can do in a way that is reminding them of I guess of the positive aspects of their life instead of the things that they can't do.
Yeah, and that's so important. I just finished my second book, which is about wellness. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is the whole wellness philosophy is to focus on strengths rather than the things that you can't do, the things that you're missing out on or trying to be too perfect or whatever. It's exactly what you're talking about. It's that kind of positivity. What are the things that we are still capable of that make us happy? We might have to adapt a little bit or whatever, but I think that's a really important message. And it's an important message for us to remember again as family caregivers, because I think we have this perception in our head that as our parents or grandparents get older, they're just not going to be able to do certain things. But you're saying, no, listen, there's a workaround here. There's a plan B or there's something else you can look at, right?
Yep.
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
listen, Saudi, it's been wonderful talking to you. And I always enjoy hearing all the things that are going on with Comfort Keepers. You guys do such wonderful work. Is there any last thoughts or comments that you have for the audience?
Just if you want to learn more about the National Day of Joy and sort of take a look at the survey and the stats and learn more about Comfort Keepers and how we can help, just go to comfortkeepers.com and just try to celebrate on the National Day of Joy or any day. And if you do something on the National Day of Joy, please post about it on social media using hashtag National Day of Joy. We'd love to see it.
Oh, I love that. Yes, let's all join in on that National Day of Joy on June 28th. So that's wonderful. Make your post to Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are. Well, Saudia, again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been great talking to you.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for having me, Sherri.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Caregiving Club on Air. Please hit the subscribe button on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts and other listening channels. Check out all the resources and article links on our episode guide page at caregivingclub.com. Just hit the podcast tab and email us with any comments or questions at podcast@caregivingclub.com. Take care and stay well.